Marlin Siders used to say that Mount Gretna is not a place, it's a spirit.
Long before there was a Pennsylvania Chautauqua, before there was a camp meeting ground, before there were the heights and the timbers, there was a spirit moving over and through the forested mountains of southern Lebanon County, a spirit that blossomed and bloomed visions and dreams. This is the story of how that spirit became a perennial spirit that is Mount Gretna.
Within this one-hour documentary program, you will see and learn how Mount Gretna became to be a cherished sanctuary as it is known today. The story begins over 200 years ago with the discovery of rich sources of iron ore and forested mountains for the making of charcoal, the mines and the Cornwall furnace, which produced great wealth for the Coleman family. Next came the railroads and the building of the Cornwall and Lebanon rail line.
As the railroad track for the CNL was laid westward along the foothills of the South Mountain, it passed through an area reportedly being a place thickly wooded, a wild, natural garden forest. Coleman envisioned it as a perfect spot for a station along the line, and the Mount Gretna station was built as the rail line track was being laid during October of 1883. The following spring, 5 acres of woodland had been cleared and made into a picnic ground. The first picnic was held on June 5, 1884, as over 1,000 people enjoyed the new woodland paradise. The southern boundary of the park was the Conewago Creek. Looking eastward from this point in the park, you can see the large exhibition hall built in 1890. Robert Coleman's generosity extended to the farming community, and the hall was built for an annual farmers' encampment. It's the oldest remaining building still standing in Mount Gretna, and remarkably, still a sound structure being used as a roller skating rink. Behind this building, once the children's playground, one of the many freshwater springs in the park that were enclosed by stonemasons can still be found. While nature again is overtaking its treasures, the stones remain as a reminder of the blossoming season which was Mount Gretna Park.
You will hear the story of 50 years encampment by the Pennsylvania National Guard.
Would have extended across this entire field. Where all these houses are, there would have been no houses there. There would have been tents extending from the rail trail across to Conewago Hills and all the way back almost as far to the west as Colebrook.
The Grand Hotel that towered over the lake, and a narrow gauge railroad that transported sightseers to the top of Governor Dick Mountain. And then, on the eve of the 20th century, the birth of both the Pennsylvania Chautauqua and the Mount Gretna Camp Meeting Ground. The very first buildings, as they were then and are now, over a century later.
Where the tabernacle sits was where the original pulpit was, an octagon pulpit. They had 2 by 12 seats with no backs and set up, and when the tabernacle itself was built, it was there was some quick construction.
The very first building was this auditorium designed and built by John Silly. And if this looks familiar, it was the same design on the same location as the present-day Mount Gretna Playhouse.
You will see and learn how Mount Gretna has become center stage for performing arts.
Thousands of people descend upon the Chautauqua grounds to see the creative work of hundreds of artists from near and far. Mount Gretna is so much more than living memories of past years, times gone and never to be again. From its very beginning in 1892, Mount Gretna has been a perennial rebirth of spirit, a spirit that awakens a recreation, a restoration of all that natural created beauty and serenity intended it to be. A spirit that permeates through the streets, walkways, cottages, and porches, of Mount Gretna.
This one-hour documentary, Mount Gretna, A Perennial Spirit, is available now on DVD.